Okay, as you can see, this class is very different. This is probably my hardest class of the day, and it's my first class of the day. I'm actually really proud of how far I've gotten this class to come along. At the beginning, I was very overwhelmed because there's so many different personalities and types in the classroom that I was very overwhelmed during every day of my lessons. One thing I found out is for different kids, if I gave them positive, it would motivate them to be positive. But some kids, if I gave them positive, they really wouldn't care. So, in this lesson, I tried to, it's badminton, of course. It's going to be crazy, especially with third graders. But I tried to make it organized as possible. At the end, I felt like I could have done a better way of grouping them. But I figured since they were on the side, it would work out. Also, with this class, I found that patience is definitely a virtue. Things take a little longer in this class, which is okay. Um, let's see. I tried to walk around and touch base with each kid and really see if they were doing it right. I know some of the kids were going crazy. I tried to stress not using their rackets above their head. If you give a little kid a racket, of course they're going to try. For the most part, I thought the kids did really well during the lesson. It may not look like it, but for us it's improvement. They've done a really good job. I'm really proud of this class. Listening has been a big issue for us, so the fact that, yeah, it wasn't right away listening, but they did listen is a great thing. One thing I found out is since they are so different, it does require different things for each kid. One kid won't care if I sit them out, while the others will. So, the culture is also different. They, some kids learn differently. Some kids are embarrassed, I found, that if I draw my attention to them. So I may have a classmate go up to them and be like, hey, this is how you do it. Because I never thought it was embarrassing to get help from a teacher, but especially learning new skills. In PE class, I found with the older kids, it is embarrassing to get told how to do something when most of the kids know how. So I find having their peers help them is a great way. One thing I would have definitely done different was give each group only one racket to start out with. I thought third grade could handle 2 rackets because they've been doing so great, but apparently they could not, especially on film. But another thing was space. We only have one net up. I did make sure it was lower so they would be more successful maybe in hitting the birdie. All last week we practiced without the net, so this was also very exciting for them to get on the net. For the most part, there's no one in this particular class that it takes. I mean, everyone did a great job. I would just say the main part for differentiation of instruction would be how I would approach each kid. Going back to some kids in this class get embarrassed when I approach them, or just having maybe another student go. In my other classes, I have some special needs kids, which one of my kids is in a wheelchair, so I have to make sure that he has a racket and maybe is hitting over something that's lower to the ground where he can be successful at. Another thing I have found out with differentiation of instruction is some days I won't have a problem and other days I will. For instance, this day everyone behaved well, everyone was engaged, and the next day with this class could be awful, and so I always have to prepare myself for maybe instead of doing this, all of a sudden we're going to change it up and do something completely different because the kids are just not focused today. I've found that I have to be on my toes, especially with a group like this. Um, it makes me think a lot, and I try not to get frustrated. I try to remain calm, and with this class, I've worked on my patience. Um, I think I wanted to get this class on video because I think this class is the class that I've learned the most from. And it's just really cool for me to see one kid 1 week being totally different, and then this week just engaged. And I know it may be some background issues or family stuff, but it's just really cool for me to see how I think some of my teaching is actually rubbing off the kids, and me getting personal with them and working with them every day to do the same thing has really started to pay off, and it's really exciting for me to see. So for differentiation of structure, instruction, I just have to remind myself that every day is going to be different. I have to see what is happening inside the classroom and adjust, see what moods the kids are in and adjust. Um, for the most part, I think this lesson went okay. At the end, it took forever for the students to understand what I was saying, and that's not their fault, that is mine, and I understand that. So I need to work in the future, maybe just regrouping them completely. Um, for the most part, though, I think it went well, and I think a big part of this class for me is the respect. And if there's little bickering situations, I try to get in there and figure it out and dismiss the problem. Um, for the most part, it went well. Again, differentiation of instruction. I just have to constantly be ready to make that change and not be afraid to make it. Um, Again, making sure the kids are guided in their instruction is great. As I was walking around, I could see what students were doing well and what were not, and what needed correcting. So for the most part, I think the lesson went well. I think I still have room for improvement, and I'm glad I got this class on tape.